Welcome to class, and this is going to be the module 4 of this training, and it's introduction to networking in AWS. Let me use that word, say in AWS. Introduction to networking in AWS. What are the things we want to learn? In this module, we are going to discuss the basic concepts of networking, public and private networking resources. We are going to explain virtual private gateway using a real life scenario. We are going to discuss virtual private network. We are going to also look at AWS Direct Connect. We are going to look at the benefit of hybrid deployment, layers of security used in an IT strategy, and also we're going to interact with AWS Global Network. So basically, but today possibly we're just going to look at the basics of networking and the public and private networks, and then we might call it a day. So we move to the next thing now. Okay, coming. So recall in our coffee shop, right? Imagine a customer wants to access the barista bypassing the cashier just because they have a special or unique order or so. Of course, this is not ideal, but then this is achievable. And that is why AWS comes up with Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, or VPC. Now, I hope we can still remember our coffee shop, right? And we said that Regina is our barista, for instance. Now, let's take Isivera as our cashier. Okay? By default, everybody should go to Isivera. And when they take their order, Isivera now goes to meet Regina and say, this is the order that these people need. And they can attend to it one after the other. And from the cashier again, the customer gets what they want through Isivera. But then, here comes Benedict. Benedict says, oh, I have a personal relationship with Isivera. Or, sorry, I have a personal relationship with Regina. Instead of going through Isivera, that is the cashier, he decided to go directly to Regina, the barrister. You understand what we are saying here? Okay. Let me bring up a picture. I hope I can get that now. Are we still seeing my screen, please? Hello?
Yes, you can see.
Okay. Now, let me take it back from the beginning again. These two people here, they are our Regina. Okay? Remember, we've used auto scaling. They are the barrister. Now, these three people are Isivera. And customers are expected to do what? To speak to the cashiers. They are not expected to have direct communication with the barrister, with Regina. But Kayode just come in and felt, oh, I have a personal relationship with Regina before. I can go directly to Regina. You know it's possible, right? In a canteen. Even though it's not ideal. So because AWS do not want this kind of thing to happen, they come up with the Amazon Virtual Private Cloud. While I was preparing the slide and going through some things, I look at the basis of how I can explain this. This is it again. AWS VPC. Some of us, we all live in Lagos, right? Fine. Now, do you know there are some estates in Lagos that you cannot just enter?
Without access code, right?
Without access code, right?
Yeah,
Some you need access code. Some
yeah.
you must, you are either a resident or somebody gives you permission to come in. You don't just go in and say you want to be talking. I don't understand what you want to say, but you must have access code. That's one. Now, that estate that we are seeing is still inside Lagos, right?
Yes, sir.
But it has its own security. Sometimes those estates have CCTV camera around it. Is that not? Within the
Yes,
estate,
yes.
they have a good load. Sometimes there is no power outage there. They have, immediately there is power outage from PACN, their generator pick off in this same Lagos. Are we there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, what happened is this: AWS cloud is like Lagos, and VPC is like those mini estates. Do we understand this?
Sir, no, I didn't get, sir.
Okay. AWS cloud, hmm, they provide cloud services, and everybody can just go in and fire up their instances, right? Are we
Yes, sir.
there? The same
Yes, sir.
way anybody can come to Lagos and start living in Lagos. Two of us.
Yeah, true.
You don't need you don't need a passport. You don't need, just find your way to Ojota, you drive. Somehow, some people even come to Lagos, they don't even have anybody, they don't have any relation. They come, they hustle as conductor, they sleep in condemned buses. After a while, they are able to gather money and they rent a small apartment in Ojodu Beggar. Or, you understand? That is the
Yeah.
way AWS cloud is. Anybody can just come in. Are we there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But some people felt they need more security in Lagos. They don't want just anybody to come into their environment. Special kind of people. They now decide to create what? Mini estates within Lagos. Those mini estates are what we call VPC. In that mini estate, you have your own power supply, you have your own security, you have your own, some they even have a mini transportation within the estate. Do you understand what I'm saying here?
Yes.
So your VPC is a mini estate in Lagos. VPC is a mini, another small Amazon service inside Amazon, whereby you can create your own infrastructure. Okay. All right. I will read from here now. A VPC lets you provision a logically isolated section of the AWS cloud where you can launch AWS resources in a virtual network that you define. You define it. You know, some estate, they even have a pattern of building. You don't just build any house. These resources can be public facing, so they have access to the internet, or private with no internet access, usually for back-end services like databases or application servers. The public and private grouping of resources are known as subnets. Don't worry, we're going to still talk about them. and they are ranges of IP addresses in your VPC. The
I have
public
a question. I have a question.
resources are known as subnets. Okay, so we've looked at that, but this is what I want to explain there now.
Come again, sir. Come
Can you hear
again,
me?
sir. You
Can you
said
hear me?
Okay, somebody should ask a question. Someone want to ask a question.
Yes, yes. I have a question.
Please
This
do
part
ask.
where you said that something private, okay, public facing that they should have, so that they can have access to internet or private, so they have no access. The From what I understand about Amazon Cloud now, it's all about the internet currently.
It's all about
Now,
what? I didn't hear you well.
Amazon Cloud Services is all about the internet. Now,
Yeah.
if you are saying private and private with no access, with no internet access, does that make it cloud anymore?
Okay, fantastic. I like that question. Now, this is it. When you say is internet facing and is not internet facing, now this is the first thing. When we say is internet facing, anybody that comes that have the right access via internet, okay, they can access it. Are you with me? Let me bring up that picture again. I will explain. You're going to understand. Don't worry. You will get it. Now look at this. Can you see my screen, please?
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, all these customers coming, eh? Are you with me? They are the
Yes, sir.
one coming from outside and they need access to, they want to access cashier, which is Isibera and Regina, the barista, right? Now, this is internet facing. The cashier is internet facing. If barista Regina is also internet facing, these people can go and meet Regina. Are you with me? But once you will make Regina private, you will make it non-internet facing. That means only the cashiers, only the people in your internet network can
So
access.
that's like an Ethernet or something.
Yes. So
Okay.
that's where we have internet.
So that's like the local area network.
Exactly. Do you get what we are saying now? So once you make this one non-internet facing, these people cannot access it again. But the cashier can access it. The load balancer can access it. Every other resources can access it within your own VPC. Do you understand?
Yes, sir, I do now.
Okay, so we move on. Somebody was about to ask a question. Is the person? Or Kayode, we've answered your own question.
No, you were saying something about the subnets, like subnets. You were defining. You were giving the definition of subnets.
Yes, we
Yeah.
said a subnet. Don't worry, before
Yeah.
I'll say that now. Okay, so I was saying that, and we will define it in the next slide. Don't worry. So now in our coffee shop, we have different employees, and one is a cashier. Say Triumph. I'm using Triumph here. Meanwhile, Triumph is not in class today. He takes customer orders, right? And thus, we want customer to interact with him. So we put him in what we call public subnet. Do you get that now? We don't want any other person, Regina, Isivera, those ones, they should be non-internet facing. So hence, Triumph can talk to the customer or the internet. But our baristas here now, we are using Regina and Isivera. We want them to focus on making coffee and not interact with customers directly. So we put them in a private subnet. Did we get this?
So everyone with his own in his own segment.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. We will talk more on this as we progress. So let's move on to now. The next one. connectivity to AWS VPC. A VPC is a networking service that we can use to establish boundaries around our AWS resources. We use it to do what? Establish boundaries around our AWS resources. I've explained that using an estate, Elegushi Estate, New Horizon Estate, right? You have a Richmond Estate. When you go to those kind of places, they have their own security. You don't just come in and do whatever you like. You need access. Even if you are the son of one rich man there, if you do not have access, they will not allow you in. Just
Son
imagine,
of Queen Elizabeth.
who cares whether you are Queen Elizabeth? You must show up and tell us whether you have the right access or not. They will even, some will not even access, some is machine. I hope you know. Some is machine. You will scan your access and the machine will open for you to pass. Else, you are not going anywhere. So we say just imagine the millions of customers who use AWS services. Also imagine the millions of resources that these customers have created, such as Amazon EC2. Without boundaries, all around of these resources, network traffic would be able to flow between them unrestricted. Amazon VPC enables you to provision an isolated section of AWS. In this isolated section, you can launch resources in a virtual network that you define. Within a virtual private cloud, you can organize your resources into subnets. And when we say subnet, this comprises of what? Public and private network. A subnet is a section of a VPC that can contain resources such as Amazon EC2. A VPC is essentially our own private network in AWS. Now, when we use the word private network here, it does not mean it does not have access to the internet, but your own private network, just like a single estate within Lekki here. A VPC allows you to define your private IP range for your AWS resources, and you can place things like EC2 and ELBs inside of your VPC. Anybody have any question? All right, fine. We continue. We don't just go through our resources into a VPC and go to bed. We place them into different subnets. And we say subnets are what? Are chunks of what? IP addresses in our PVC that allow us to group resources together. Subnets, along with networking rules we will discuss shortly, they control whether resources are either what? Publicly or privately available. I've explained public and private. There are ways we can control what traffic gets into our VPC at all. What I mean by this is, for some VPC, you might have internet-facing resources that the public should be able to reach, like a what? A public website. You want everybody to be able to reach it. However, in other scenarios, you might have resources that you only want to be reachable if someone is logged into your private VPC, which is what I was saying. Regina and Isabella, they are barristers. We just want Regina Triumph to be able to reach each other. We don't want outside customers to be able to reach the barristers, which are Regina and Isabella. So we put those ones in private subnet. This might be internal services like a financial or finance application or a back-end database. First, let's talk about public-facing resources. In order to allow traffic from the public internet to flow into and out of our VPC, we must attach what is called an internet gateway. What did I say? Are we still here?
Internet
You said
gateway.
All
okay.
right. Internet gateway. I want to show us the diagram now. Look at this. Are we here? Can we see my screen, please?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So we have what? Elastic load balancer. Abi? Now, when we're mentioning all of these things now, it should not sound strange to us anymore. ELB. And we have our EC2 instances. They are public facing. When a resource is public facing, that is expected to be able to reach, is expected to be reachable by anybody, all our customers, such as maybe our website are inside these EC2 instances. Now, what happens is we need an internet gateway, and the internet gateway now connects to our elastic load balancer, and the elastic load balancer direct traffic to the EC2 instances. So when talk about VPC, there are other AWS services that makes the operation of our VPC seamless, such as routing of traffic within and outside our subnet. These services include internet gateway, virtual private gateway, VPG, and AWS Direct Connect. We are looking at internet gateway now. An internet gateway is a connection between a VPC and the internet. Let's say that it's an internet gateway. It's a connection between a VPC and the internet. Just like a security man is the internet gateway between the estate and the real Lagos itself, or the general Lagos that we know. In order to allow public traffic from the internet to access our VPC, we attach an internet gateway to the VPC. You can think of an internet gateway as being similar to a doorway that customers use to enter our coffee shop. Without a front door, the customer wouldn't get in and order their coffee. So we install a front door, and the people can then go in and out of that door when coming and going from our shop. The front door in this example is like an internet gateway. Without it, no one can reach the resources placed inside of our VPC. Are we there? So internet gateway is a doorway that is open to the public. Any question, please?
I just want to get something clear in my head.
Fantastic.
Um, this what you're explaining now is very similar to um, routing and switching in normal networking, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I just want to get that because you've
Fantastic.
been mentioning
This is now.
internet gateway.
You know, you know, in routing and switching, there is what we call router, and there's what we call a switch. If what you are doing is within your local area network, all you need is a switch. You don't need a router, right? But when you want to route outside of your network, you need a router. And you see that they call that router gateway. Most times you see it, network guys calls it gateway, my gateway, default route. When you are leaving your own network, now it's very good. This virtual private gateway is going to be like your switch that is within your network, your own virtual private cloud. Okay, fantastic. I love that scenario that you brought now. So we move to the next one. We've looked at this already. We've explained this diagram. Now look at it. The client sends a request, right? This is your AWS cloud, and you have your VPC inside it. a client sends a request through the internet and into the VPC. It hits the internet gateway before it goes to your subnet and EC2 instances. The next one is your VPG, virtual private gateway. To access private resources in a VPC, we use a virtual private gateway. Are you seeing that now? So if we need access to public resources, what do we use?
Gateway.
No, because this one too has a gateway.
Sorry, come again. I didn't get your question.
Now, look at this. It said to access private resources in a VPC, we use virtual private gateway. I now said if I want to access public resources, what do I use?
Public private.
We need a public gateway then.
That is what we just finished. Not a public gateway. Internet gateway.
Gateway,
Internet
yeah. Okay.
gateway.
That's what
And
we
the
just said.
internet is
That
also
an
public now.
internet gateway is a connection between a VPC and the internet in order to allow public traffic. So they are just twinkling it. To access private resources, you need a private gateway. To access public resources, you need internet gateway. Are we there? Okay. Let's talk about a VPC with all internet private resources. We don't want just anyone from anywhere to be able to reach these resources. So we don't want an internet gateway attached to our VPC. Instead, we want a private gateway that only allow people in if they are coming from an approved network, not the public internet. This private door is called a virtual private gateway, and it allows you to create a VPN connection between a private network. The private, the virtual private gateway is the component that allows protected internet traffic to enter into the VPC, like your on-premise data center or internet corporate network to our VPC. Look at what we are saying here. Are we here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the company, corporate data center. Now, yes, they are using the internet, but when they are coming, they need to use a VPN connection because what they want to come and access is not internet facing. So there is going to be a level of kind of authentication and an IP address that is within. So when you come in into your own VPC, you need a virtual private gateway to access your private resources. Let me share the second slide. Maybe this will help us. Look at this now. You see private traffic now. When it comes, what we have here is not internet gateway. This is a virtual private gateway. And your database, you don't need everybody to be able to access it. You don't need all your customers to access this database. I hope you remember. All your customer need to access is your website that are on your EC2 instances. This database is for your technical guys. So your technical guys here, we have a VPN connection that would have allowed some subnet of IPs, range of IPs. So when you come in, it will check if you are using the right IP for authentication, and it will allow you to pass and go to the private facing resources. Anybody want to ask a question?
Okay, my question is, does it mean that um, virtual private network can only be used for maybe bankers, all those organizations that has information that don't need to be exposed or something?
No, it can be used by anybody. You can use it too. You can create a VPC of your own as an individual.
But I feel like it's majorly for people or organizations who have resources that they don't want to the public. You get
Exactly.
like they want
Like
it to be accessed
government,
by
Yes.
VPC,
government,
tenants, or
banks,
something.
and all
Fantastic.
of this.
That's it. It's mainly for those kind of people. But then, now we need to come to two things. Number one, why are you even studying? Why are you studying? Do you want to be when a government or a big organization decide to use VPC, they need someone who is going to manage the VPC for them, right? I hope you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you are the kind of person that want to manage that VPC. So you must understand the private, you must understand the public facing. You don't necessarily need to be the one to store stuff inside the database. Mm-mm. But you've created a platform for the database. The people who want to use the database, you begin to create security policies for them. You now know that okay, for this person to be able to have access to his database that is private facing, he needs a what? A virtual private gateway. Oh, customers want to access our website as a government organization. I need an internet what? Private, an internet gateway in order to access these resources. Are we there? All right.
So it's just like a, let me say, it's just like a, just to access a particular radio station now, you have to tune in to like a number.
Fantastic.
So we
That's
have to insert the gateway so that
that's
we can
that,
access.
that's another one. You need to have the direct link to
Yeah.
that
But
information.
if we are using it as a radio station, meaning anyone can just find that
Eh, eh.
frequency.
Anyone can
But
just
No,
I feel like it has to do with like secure talking, like
exactly a
military kind of
secured
secure talking.
exactly. Like encrypted one.
Yeah,
see it
yeah.
here is here. VPN connection. If another person come from another organization and try to hit this place, it will tell you you don't have the correct authentication and you won't be able to access it. Now, funny enough, somebody can come from this organization that is not in the correct subnet and try to hit, it won't go to.
Mhm.
I hope you know. Now,
Yes.
say for instance, in this organization, we have people who are developers that are using the database, and we have another set of people who are accountants. Their own is ERP that they are using. They are not using database. You that you have set it up, you've set it up that people in the developers, they should be the one to be able to access database. If people in account decide to want to access database, it will not go, even though they are in the same organization. Do we get that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we have explained internet gateway. We have explained virtual private gateway. Can anybody distinguish between the two for me before we move to the third one?
Internet gateway give access to everybody with a certain amount of credentials to come in, while private gateway only give access to specific set of people with authentic credentials to come in.
Fine. Somebody have another idea? There's something I'm looking for.
Yeah. Um private this thing as like they use what do they call it? Virtual, no, yeah. Private connection uses virtual.
Now, this is it. This is what I just expect from us. Internet gateway gives access to public resources.
Okay.
Virtual private gateway give access to private
Oh,
resources.
gateway.
Simple. Now, can you read this next one for us and let's move on.
Okay. AWS Direct Connect. This is a service that enables us to establish a dedicated private connection between your data center and our VPC in AWS Cloud. Direct Connect allows us to establish a completely private, dedicated fiber connection from our data center to AWS. We
Thank you.
work with a direct connection.
Thank you. Because of our time. Now, this is what you need to know. Even though here you have a VPN connection, many people too have VPN connection. Many people are also using the internet to access it. That's where AWS now come with AWS Direct Connect. This Direct Connect is only you a fiber connection from your data center directly to AWS VPC, your VPC in AWS cloud. Do you understand that? Just like when you say you have a dedicated internet to your office. AWS Direct Connect provides a physical line that connects our network to our AWS VPC. Suppose there is an apartment building with a hallway directly linking to the building of our coffee shop, just like the coffee shop we are using, and you just decide that you want to create a road from your house directly to the coffee shop, and that road nobody is using it with you, even though there is traffic everywhere. That road is only you from your house. You know, this made me recall the history of Gaddafi. I learned that there is a in his house there is a tunnel down that leads directly to the airport. Nobody else can travel through that path. So this is like a dedicated fiber network connection from your own organization directly to AWS cloud into your own VPC. And what does this do? The private connection that AWS Direct Connect provide helps us to reduce network cost and increase the amount of bandwidth that can travel through our network. Do we understand this?
Yeah,
Now,
I
look
think
at it.
it's
Your data center. See the traffic, direct connect traffic. Only you are enjoying yourself. It gets into the direct connect, and but note, it's always expensive. Okay, so but organizations,
Now, please, can we get the note for this one?
it's already in the last note I sent to you.
Uh,
You are not reading, and I'll still send the updated one after the class today. Now look at it. The data center, direct connect. Look at it. You see the direct connect location, customer or partner router. It goes to AWS Direct Connect endpoint, and then it can enter your virtual private gateway as well. You can still go to the internet gateway, and you can now go to the public facing or private facing devices.
So
Okay,
I have a
that's it.
question. Yeah, I remember you saying something about fiber. You said direct connect or something about it's something like a dedicated fiber connection. I
Yes,
remember you saying something like that. Now I just want to ask: is it that AWS have fiber optic cables here in Nigeria?
it's good. It's important we ask very good questions like this. Because I was expecting that. Now look at it. Customer or what? Partner router. AWS has partners.
Okay.
So an example of their partner will be your main one. So you will have a fiber connection to main one, and there is a connection between AWS and main one. So from main one data center, you are connected to. I was explaining something about NNI. If you were in the class, NNI, network to network interface. There is going to be a router or a switch that AWS connects to in main one data center, and you will now connect to that same switch. Invariably, you and AWS are inside the same switch. So you had a direct connection through main one to AWS. Do we get this?
Yes, I do.
All right. Thank you. I know people
Sir,
want. Okay, ask a question.
the last this thing that you sent, the last slide ends at 122.
122. So that means you
Yeah.
still have this.
Yes.
Okay, so don't worry, you get
So we don't. Yes, we have that one.
you will have the others. Don't worry after the class. So subnet and network access control. We will explain this and possibly call it a day. I don't want us to be any more than an hour or an hour 30 minutes at most, so that it won't take long. Once the video is too long, people get tired a lot. So subnet and network access control list. What do we say is a subnet? How do you read for us?
Subnet. Subnet is a section of a VPC in which you can group resources based on security or operational needs. Subnets can be public or private.
Read on.
Okay, public subnet. So public subnet contains resources that need to be accessible by the public, such as an online store website. Private subnets contain resources that should be accessible only through your private network, such as a database that contains customer personal in- information and other histories. In a
Continue.
VPC, subnets can communicate with each other. For example, you might have an application that involves an EC2 instance in a public subnet communicating with databases that are located in a private subnet.
I hope you understand this. Just like what Zion, who is our cashier, can always talk to Regina or Isabella that
This-
are our barristers.
Yeah.
An EC2 instance that is in a public subnet can be communicating with databases that are in a private subnet. Okay, so we have this AWS Cloud, VPC, we have the public subnet, and we have the private subnet. Public subnets are most times things we can access over the internet, customer facing, and databases are most times in our private subnet. Let's look at this, right? Customers. Hmm? Normally, customers give their order to the cashier, and then cashier takes it to the what? To the barrister. But then, all of a sudden, because Kayode now has a good rapport with Isivera, instead of Kayode going through Triumph, he decide to come and meet Isivera directly. This is not supposed to be. That is where we now begin to put, that's where you see it. Customers are prevented from giving their orders to the barrister. So this is stop. We now give it, you see green says, okay, every customer should give their order to the cashier, while anybody that comes this way, access is denied. You can't even see her or him. Read on here.
Okay. So learning more about the role of subnets within a VPC, let's look at the coffee shop. First, Customers give their orders to their cashier. The cashier then passes the orders to the barista. The process allows the line to keep running smoothly as more customers come in. Suppose that some customers try to skip their cashier line and give their orders directly to the barista. This disrupts the flow of traffic and results in customers accessing a part of the coffee shop that is restricted to them. To fix this, the owners of the coffee shop divide the counter area by placing the cashier and the barista in separate workstations. The cashier's workstation is public facing and designed to receive customers. The barista area is private. The barista can still receive orders from the cashier, but not directly from the customer. This is similar to how you can use AWS network services to isolate resources and determine exactly how network traffic flows.
Do we understand this? That's what the two diagrams I posted earlier. That's what they just explained. Okay. So what helps us to do this? In the coffee shop, you can think of the counter area as a VPC. The counter area divides into two separate areas for the cashier workstation and the barista's workstation. In a VPC, subnets are separate areas that are used to group together resources. So network traffic in a VPC now. When a customer requests data from an application hosted in AWS cloud, this request is sent as a packet. A packet is a unit of data sent over the internet or a network. Note this, a packet is a unit of data sent over the internet or network. It enters into a VPC through an internet gateway, right? Especially if it is public facing. It enters into the VPC through an internet gateway. Before a packet can enter into a subnet or exit from a subnet, it checks for permission. This permission indicates who sent the packet and how the packet is trying to communicate with the resources in a subnet. The VPC component that checks packet permission for subnet is called a network access list or ACL. The VPC component that checks what? Permissions for subnet is the network access list. All right. What is network access list or ACL? A network access list, ACL, is a virtual what? Firewall that controls inbound and outbound traffic at the subnet level. At what level? At the subnet level. And the subnet level is talking about your what? Your private or your public resources. Each AWS account includes a default network ACL. When configuring your VPC, you can use your default network ACL or create a custom ACL. Note this, by default, your account default ACL allows all inbound and outbound traffic. Do you see that? By default, network ACL allows all inbound and outbound traffic, but you can modify it by adding your own rules. So you can decide to now say, I don't want all traffic to be permitted. It should deny. For custom network ACL, all inbound and outbound traffic is denied until you add rules to specify which traffic to allow for the custom network ACL. But the default, your account default ACL will tell you that all inbound and outbound traffic should be allowed. You can now modify it. But for custom network ACL, all inbound and outbound traffic is denied until you add rules to specify which traffic to allow. Additionally, all network ACL have an explicit deny rule. Explicit deny. This rule ensures that if a packet does not match any of the other rules on the list, the packet is denied. I want to stop here tonight. Somebody want to ask any question? Anybody want to ask any question? Are we still in
Can you hear
class?
me? Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, any
So,
question?
okay, I was just going to ask just to know, are we still going to do things like what was it thing we were doing in networking then? Those CLI controls and all of those things
Yes, we're still going to do it.
that were
We're going to be
even
using this
packet
ACL.
tracer and stuff like
We're going to be using this ACL. We're going to be practicalizing all of these ACLs and the security
that.
group.
Okay.
Remember, there was a time we fired up an EC2 instance, but we did not permit HTTP traffic. So we couldn't access it over the internet. We were
Yep.
going to talk about that. That's security group. And that is at the EC2 level. But network ACL is at the subnet level. So we'll discuss
Okay.
that maybe tomorrow or Wednesday.
Thank you very much.
All right. Any other questions before we call it a day? Ask your question, please. All right,
No for
Miss.
now, sir.
Huh?
No for now.
All right, Miss Regina. Any question?
So I did not to
I'm
please.
filling it now.
Okay, sir.
Miss Regina, any question? Are you still there, Miss Regina? Okay, so if there's no question, we'll call it a